I mean, you mentioned that there's a certain degree of unpredictability in this, and of
Oh
course, no
yeah.
forecasts are ever perfect. What's the chance that things can go sideways with something like that? Because I'm thinking, with Northern Lights, I mean, okay, so if they, so they're not in that direction, but in the other direction, well, that's fine. You just turn around. It's no big deal,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
What, in the worst case
Yeah,
scenario,
but
you just don't see them.
if you are someplace and they're 300 miles east of you, then you're like, so it's not just point my camera a different direction, but it's not really good right here. I need to go east 300 miles to be right underneath it. And so that's
Yeah.
the same thing. I mean, we had a few years ago one of the biggest like busts of all time where we were in kind of west central Kansas because the models had a beast of a supercell going up there, and it was tornado weather and all this stuff. But they also showed storms to the south, maybe close to the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and Nebraska. And so they're chasers all over the place, spread out on like three major targets. Most of us picked the Kansas one because it's just isolated beast. Well, guess what? We all got screwed because our storm kept trying to go up and died. Went up, died. Like it just did not happen. And we just kept going south until finally we end up on another storm that went up, and we're finally like, this is it. This is it. And it went up and we followed it and it died. And we are like, okay, let's get a hotel. And other people in Nebraska got a freaking like 4 tornadoes and all this stuff. And people south got a tornado, and we busted hard. And that's kind of the same thing. Is like, yeah, there's a lot of accuracy these days with weather data and weather models and predicting where storms are going to be. But again, weather will do what it wants. And we can be on the biggest days. Like I think we had another high risk day this last spring, which out here we have severe weather um, levels that the Storm Prediction Center is in Oklahoma, and they predict severe weather for the entire country. And so they have certain levels where it's marginal, there's a slight risk, there's a enhanced risk, there's a moderate risk, and there's a high risk, and high risk being the worst. And I've chased like 3 or 4 high risks in my career, and almost every single one has been a bust. Like, doesn't happen like they think. And this last year, of course, another high risk day. Everyone's worried because of all the cars on the road, and luckily we were all spread out. And there might have been a tornado during the day that I was on, but I couldn't see it because too much rain. And then there was one late at night that was insane that everyone gave up, and it happened way after dark. So that was kind of like, man, this is a high risk day where every storm should be a tornado. Like everyone's going nuts, and then it didn't happen. And that's what happens. It's like you can't predict it. These
Right.
days you can just, for the most part. No, but I mean, seriously, like your phone, as long as you have data, you've got GPS, you got Google Maps, you've got like Radar Scope or Radar Omega, got 2 great weather apps that will update every 2 minutes, showing you where you are, showing you where lightning bolts almost hit exactly, showing you the roads on it. So that's kind of, really all you really need. But there's levels to it too, where you can go chase in places like Southeast Colorado, Northwest, the Oklahoma Panhandle, where like Verizon data kind of dies out. So you wish you had AT&T. So I have an AT&T hotspot built into my truck, and I also have a Verizon hotspot. Well, now people are using Starlink.
Right.
Um, because now it's satellite internet, and and it's portable, and you can strap it onto the roof of your car and have all this stuff. Um, so and now I think there's some new phones coming out with where you can, if you lose all data, it will default to Starlink for data. Someone just told me that there's some beta thing happening. So there's a guy who comes from Australia who live streams. He's epic. His name's Daniel Shaw. He live streams all season, has all these Patreon supporters. For him, data is vital because he's trying to live stream and never drop. Like one of the worst things live streaming is dropping your signal all the time. And so he's got 3 or 4 different methods where they're all combining and using a device into one internet stream, so he never really goes down. And so there is like a lot of equipment like that's, that you might want, mostly so that you can stay aware. And I also have like a like a Surface Pro in my truck where it's got radar up all times, just in case like my phone died or I lost it or whatever. I still have that in the truck. So you have like kind of multiple things. And another thing that's really good because, I'm very, paranoid, zooming in on Google Maps, looking, does this road connect? Is it paved? Is it, is there a bridge where it might be washed out, or it might not exist or something. So there's so many of those things that we, kind of track all the time.
Because that can quite easily become the danger, isn't it? It's like you're so, trying to get the shot, and then you just lose situational awareness, and before you know it, you're in the thick
Yeah,
of
I
it.
mean, that's what's happened to multiple chasers recently.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.